Y'all, I cannot believe it, but here we are at the most exciting time of the year. The BB27 cast has officially dropped, which means it is now time for us to judge these people and predict what they're gonna do in the game based on nothing but these short little interviews. Now, to be honest, there's not really too much going on in these interviews, so this is really just a sneak peek on who everyone is, you know, what their names are, what they look like, what their occupation is, and who they plan on being in the house. If you don't know me yet, hi, my name is Kay, and here on my channel I do live feed recaps about what's actually going on the show day to day. Because if you didn't know, the TV edit tends to skip over most things that actually happen in the house. And so if you typically only rely on the TV show, you're really only getting a condensed and sanitized version of things. Because of that, I watch the feeds every day and talk about the main highlights, and I even include clips from the live feeds themselves. That way you can see and judge for yourself what's going on. So if you are someone who's interested in a deeper dive as to what's going on the show, then this may be the channel for you, so make sure you're subscribed. Now, let's get started. So first up, we have Adrian, who is 23 years old and a carpenter. Right off the bat, as soon as these interviews came out, a lot of y'all were talking about Adrian, and not really in a good way either. He's probably made the biggest impression out of all the house guests on this list, and that's mainly because he's coming across as hella cocky and arrogant.
I'm here to win the money for my family, but also to become the greatest of all time. Like that's my personal thing. Like I don't think I've ever seen anyone analyze the game like I have, and I'm just excited to see myself after I win play Big Brother, because I think that's the best part for me. I get to watch back and see greatness, you know?
Adrian is a self-proclaimed superfan, and he says that he studied a lot on the show, but it does seem that he's maybe underestimating just how his personality might rub people the wrong way out there. So yeah, a lot of people are already calling him a pre-jury boot, and honestly, I can't blame them for that assessment at all. I can just easily see him way overplaying his hand the first couple weeks and getting out early, but you know what? Even if that does happen, I'm willing to bet he will not be boring at all. Team Fun Feeds, and that's what side I'm on, okay? Next up, we have Amy, who is 43 years old and an insurance agent. Now, the absolute main thing that I'm getting from Amy out of her bio is that she is a girl's girl. She wants to only work with women, be in an all-female alliance, all that good stuff, right? Which is totally fine on the surface, right? Like, I love the rare times when the girlies do end up coming together, but my big fear for her is that she seems to be like really laser focused on this all girls thing. And I just would hate for her to be so focused on only working with women that she's not really paying attention to the quality of women she's working with, and if they even like mesh with her at all, you know what I mean? If it was me personally, I would just rather get to know the other ladies before I would be determined to work with them, because they might not be on the same type of time she's on, you know what I mean?
I'm going to win Big Brother because I'm going to make smart moves. I'm going to have a girls alliance. Hopefully we get good girls in the house that are able to do a girls alliance, and people are going to love me.
After that, we have Ashley, who is 25 years old and an attorney. Uh-oh, looks like we found this year's lawyer. Of course, she is not going to admit to everyone she's a lawyer, though. She plans on telling everyone she works in social media, which is honestly a good call. Lawyers always lie about their professions on this game. And although I don't think it's necessary for everybody to lie about their professions, for lawyers and probably even doctors, I completely understand. I'm just hoping that she's a good liar, because on every single cast, there's always somebody who's looking for the lawyer of the group. So hopefully she doesn't snitch on herself. Other than that, she seems to be super stable with a super bright personality and really smart too. Ashley also has this pageant background, which could help her when it comes to performing under pressure or just being able to speak up for herself or be confident in general. She also seems to have really good emotional control and be very aware of her weaknesses, which is always great.
I do feel, emotional connections if it's there fast. And so I think that'll be my weakness in the game, because you really have to be strategic about when to let people go. You can't be a wagon carrying everyone along. And so I think I'm going to have to cut that emotional side off of me.
So far, I'm not really seeing any huge red flags for Ashley. I'm just not completely completely sure what all she knows about the game. Like, I'm not sure how big of a super fan she is. Next up, we have Ava, who is 24 years old and an artist. Now, at first glance, Ava definitely does not seem like she's gonna be the loudest or brightest personality in the room, right? Like, she's definitely not the person that everybody's gonna be flocking to work with. But I'm gonna give her some credit because she needs this money bad, and we have been desperate for people who are desperate for this money in this cast for a while now.
I will be the one to win Big Brother because I need the money the most. I am broke as hell, and I will do whatever it takes to win that $750,000.
Now, I do have some concerns with her because she says she's more of an emotional player, which is fine just on its own, but she's the type who seems to think that simply being able to read people's auras or catch a vibe is gonna be able to help her in this game, and I just don't know about all that.
I would like to hide the fact that I know how to read people's auras in the house, mainly just because, number one, I don't need them getting freaked out thinking I'm a witch, and number two, I don't need them knowing my secret weapon.
Like, it's one skill to be able to sense when people are against you, but it's a complete separate one to be able to manipulate and turn people over to your side, if you know what I mean. So right off the bat, I'm not super high on Ava, but you never know. Maybe she'll change my mind. And next up, we have Will, who is a 50-year-old sportscaster. Now, Unc over here has 5 kids and a bunch of grandkids, so I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and say that he needs his money bad too. But in all seriousness, I am glad to see the older folks represented, even though we are really light this year, because he is like the only person anywhere even close to his age range, which is crazy because last year I feel like we had a way older cast on average. But with Will, it doesn't seem like he's gonna let his age be a deterrent from getting him to being able to connect with people and talk to the others. And at the same time, he's probably not going to be looked at as an immediate threat because he's one of the older house guests, so there's that. And he's already made it very, very clear that he's not going to end up quitting like Kenny, so we already got that part out the way, okay?
You know, sit around and moan and complain about, you know, various different situations where I've heard and seen, you know, some of the contestants moan and complain about. I want to go home. I miss my mom. I miss my family. I miss my wife, my kids. But you know all that stuff when you signed up.
Now, he's not a big, huge fan of the show, but he at least has a good idea of what he wants to see in an alliance, so that is a good start at least.
4 folks, 2 females, 2 males on my team. Captain Will's team. But my team is going to be made up of all different flavors and colors and nationalities, and we're going to run this game.
Next up, we have Isaiah, aka Zay, who is a 23-year-old salesperson. Now, Zay is saying that he is super adaptable, super friendly, and he's just going to go in there and immediately vibe with everybody. But of course, it's not going to be that easy. And even though it's really popular, that might not even be the best strategy to make because in a game like Big Brother, a friend to everyone is a friend to no one.
I know I'm going to get along with everyone in the house. I'm going to be able to vibe with everybody. I'm going to be able to kind of chameleon myself and make sure that everyone likes me and I'm vibing with all the people in the house, all the other house guests.
So other than the personality, I'm not really getting too much from him strategy-wise at all. I mean, he at least looks really fit and strong, so he could be a threat in comps, but also he looks really fit and strong, so he could be an immediately threat to get out. Who knows? Overall, he's just kind of hard to read, so we'll just have to see how he does. Next up, we have Jimmy, who is a 25-year-old AI consultant. Now, Jimmy is also coming in very confident and claiming that he is just the total package in this game, but you know what? He seems like way less of a crash out than Adrian is, so I'm gonna keep my hopes up a little bit.
And through that process, you find a lot of confidence in yourself. You really understand who you are, what you want to put out into the world, and then what you want to get from the world too. And I think that breeds a level of insight and maturity that somebody at 25 actually has that I think is really cool. And so into the house, I bring my smarts. I bring my life experiences, and I bring this unabashed confidence and understanding of who I am and what I want to put out into the world and what I want to receive from it.
Now, he does say that his weakness is being too trusting and that he could see himself getting blindsided easily, which obviously isn't good, but hey, I love the self-awareness at least, right? Overall, Jimmy is a player that seems pretty stable. Like, I feel like he's gonna be okay for a while, but it also doesn't seem like he's super duper knowledgeable about the show, so he might just not know what to expect or really know the intricacies of the game. And next up, we have Katherine, who is a 23-year-old waitress. Coming in, she wants to be really social and make friends and form bonds, of course, but she also is aware that coming across as too likable could make you look like a threat, so that is a good thing at least. She also thinks that people are really going to underestimate her out there and allow her to sneak by, which I do think there's a good chance of that happening, especially since she's like not super buff or strong looking.
I think I can crush my enemies potentially by, once again, just them underestimating me. I think it's something that they're not going to expect. I think I'm a bit manipulative, and I think I can convince people that my ideas are their ideas if I need to get some strong people out.
But overall, I'm just not getting too much from her strategy or competition-wise, so it's kind of hard to tell what she's going to do. One of the yellow flags is that she is one of the people who's open to being in a showmance, and I just don't want her to turn into one of those girlies whose entire personality on the show revolves around their showmance, but so far, I'm not going to lie, that's kind of what she's giving. And next we have Keanu, who is 33 years old and a personal trainer. Now, personality-wise, I like Keanu because he's a bit of a Renaissance man, you know. He's a trainer, he does improv, he's also a dungeon master, like he's super into D&D, like who would have thought? And I used to play quite a lot of Dungeons & Dragons back in my college days, so I can attest. Being the dungeon master requires a lot of brain power and a lot of organization.
I like to think of myself as a chameleon, a very well-rounded personality. So I feel like I have the ability to get along with a vast array of people in spite of what I look like.
Now, Keanu definitely seems like he's the personality hire at first glance, but I do like the fact that he calls himself a chameleon here, which I think can be really helpful in this house. Other than that, I'm not getting too much from him strategy-wise, but he does seem to be really confident in the physical competitions, obviously. It's just that last year, at least, we did have a pretty good mix of physical and mental comps, so we're just going to have to see how that helps him out. And next up, we have Kelley, who is a 29-year-old web designer. Now, Kelley is this small-town farm girl who honestly seems way, way too sweet and innocent for this cursed show.
I'm a farm kid, and I have farm kid grit. Back on the farm, there's no such thing as I'm tired of this task and I'm done with it, or this task is too hard and I'm done and I'm just gonna go inside. No, we finish the task. Whatever needs to be done, we do it. And that's what I'm gonna do in this house. I'm gonna be a farm kid.
Now, she says she has traveled around the world a lot solo. I think she said she's been to 42 different countries, so that could help her a lot in the adaptability department. And that could even help her out with like the whole total mental toll that this show can take. But on the other hand, she also says that she's only seen a couple seasons and she's honestly totally giving recruit, which that isn't the end of the world. I believe Taylor was a recruit too, but I'm just not sure how knowledgeable she's gonna be. And after that, we have Lauren, who is a 22-year-old bridal consultant. Now, Lauren is another person who is claiming to be a super fan of this show, but I couldn't tell at all because she is giving nothing in this interview. Like, it's so generic that all her answers either sound AI generated or like she's reading it from a script.
I don't think Big Brother has really seen somebody who is a super sweet Southern belle, but at the same time is willing to and will crush people in competitions if she needs to. Oh gosh, there's so much on my BB bucket list this summer. Seeing Zingbot playing in the iconic games like OTEV, Hide and Go Veto, meeting Miss Julie.
There was just zero personal content in this interview, to the point where I can't tell at all how she's going to play, and to the point where I actually looked her up to make sure she was a real person, because at first she was kind of giving Plant a little bit. But I will say this. I did feel sort of similarly to Chelsea after watching her preseason interview last year, so I'm going to give this girl a chance. And next up, we have Mickey, who is a 35-year-old event coordinator. Now, Mickey seems to have the same generic strategy that most people have going on the show, which is just to lay low and make friends and form bonds in the beginning, and then start to pop out later on in the game. Which sounds great and all that, but of course it's not going to be that simple. But I really didn't get anything else too strong strategically from her any other way. Now, she does admit to being a crier, which after dealing with Angela last year, y'all, I don't know if I have it in me. I don't know if I have it in me to deal with another crier, but I'm going to have to.
My weaknesses are definitely, I am emotional. I am an emotional being. I have a very hard shell that it looks like on the outside, but on the inside, I am like a ball of putty. So I'm a crybaby. That is one of my greatest weaknesses, for sure.
Now, she's not a big fan of the show, and like I said, I'm not getting really anything else strategy-wise, but there is a possibility that she's Team Fun Feeds, and I'm all for that. And next up, we have Morgan, who is a 33-year-old gamer and model. Now, not only is she a gamer, but she also used to run track too. She was a Division I athlete, so she's hoping to bring some of those skills into the Big Brother house. Now, she doesn't mention exactly what game she plays, but from the sounds of her describing it, it seems like it's probably Fortnite. And I just don't know how a game like that would transfer over to Big Brother, but we're gonna have to see. She is also not a big fan of the show, so there's probably some gaps in her knowledge, especially when it comes to stuff like building a good, strong alliance. And to be honest, she's also giving Recruit just a little bit, but hey, at least she seems self-aware enough.
Before you guys come for me, hear me out. I am not going to come out guns blazing trying to win everything. As much as my competitive heart wants to do that, I have not seen a success story where someone just comes in and wins everything and wins the whole game. For me, creating the smallest amount of target is just going to be what's best for me. So I'm going to lean on my social game and just keep in my back pocket that I'm a gamer girl that has a lot of strategies coming their way. So I'll pull those out when I need to.
And next up, we have Rylie, who is 27 years old and a bull rider. He seems like another small town dude with just this super relaxed and friendly energy. He just wants to take it easy day by day and vibe out and go with the flow.
But in this game, you kind of got to be a follower. You kind of gotta follow, go with the flow. So I'm just gonna go with the flow. My strategy is to just be myself, compete how I compete. I'm not gonna. I got different types of stuff, you know. I know when to kind of just throw some competitions or whatever.
Again, definitely another personality hire, especially with bull riding being the occupation and everything. Like, he was definitely cast to turn heads. But I did not hear a damn thing about strategy or competition or gameplay or any of that, really. And I do have a slight fear in the back of my head that he could be a bore. While he does seem likable enough, so far, I can just see Rylie being here for a good time instead of a long time. After that, we have Vince, who is 34 and unemployed. Vince is also someone who is claiming to be a super fan, and his strategy is just to take everything 1 week at a time. Other than that, pretty much no strategy at all. He just kind of wants to take the game as it comes to him. And Big Brother is all about adaptability, so it could work. But my big red flag with him is that he just seems maybe a little bit too spacey for this game.
Strategy for the Big Brother house. I don't even know what I'm doing on planet Earth, let alone know what I'm going to do in the Big Brother house. So that's where I have to wing it and I have to adapt. That's all I could do. Just got to do my best.
So it's kind of hard for me to place Vince. I know a lot of people out there are really liking him, but I really wouldn't be surprised if he was another pre-merge boot. I just don't know if he'll have the charisma to be able to talk himself out of sticky spots, but hey, maybe he'll prove me wrong. We'll just have to see. And last on our list, we have Zach, who is a 27-year-old marketing manager. Now, Zach is a buff guy. He used to play pro baseball, so right off the bat, he knows that he's going to be looked at as a threat coming in. So his overall strategy is to use the fact that he was a PK, aka a pastor's kid, in order to make himself seem less threatening. And you know what? Coming across as like the innocent church boy thing could work as long as he has the social game to back it up. I always say the same thing about the jock types. If you are like a buff jock type dude coming into games like this, do not just sit there and bro up with the other guys that look like you. Instead, align with the women, align with the older folks, because out of everybody, those are the people that are most likely to come for you, especially at the beginning.
I know that I will be perceived as a threat day one. I am somebody that is more athletically built, somebody that can really interact well with other people around them. And so I am going to really push me being a pastor's kid week one. I want to be somebody that you feel like you can trust immediately when you get into the house.
So he seems to know what's stacked against him, and I'm getting pretty good vibes from him overall, but there is a big red flag here. He just low-key reminds me so much of Matt from last season, and he really didn't at first. It wasn't until he started bringing up Angela in his damn interviews.
Hopefully there are a bunch of crazies in there. Hopefully there's another Angela that, you know, goes off the deep end and is ultimately the person that would kick out week one, right?
Side note, I am so glad that Angela won that first HOH last season, because imagine a world where like Matt and Mackenzie just run the whole entire game. Oh my God. But in all seriousness, yes, I'm aware that Zach is his own person, so I am going to be looking at him very neutrally. So that's it. That is our 16 official house guests for the season. So far, most people are looking fine at first glance, but I will say again that I am a little bit disappointed with the age ranges this time around. This is just an obviously way younger cast than last year, and I don't know, I just kind of find it a bit more fun when we have more people that are 40 plus on the cast, because it just adds more age diversity and more interest to the feeds in general. There are also quite a few single people on this cast, so I wouldn't be surprised if we got at least one showmance, even though most of these people are swearing against it. You know how that goes. So that is 16 people down, but there may be just one more out there waiting for us. CBS has been teasing that there is this super secret mystery house guest for about a week now, and so they've been dropping clues the past few days on who this person could possibly be. I've been following along as best as I can, and there have been a few names floating around. People like Vanessa, Cameron, hell, I even saw Boston Rob floating around. But there is one specific person who stands out amongst the rest and looks just a little bit more promising than the others, and that is Rachel Rylie. She seems to be the main suspect right now for a few reasons. First of all, there have been little hints in these Instagram photos that CBS has been posting. They posted this one with the clock on the wall with the hands at 1 and 3, aka season 13, aka Rachel's season. On top of that, she's also turned off her cameo requests very, very recently, like within the past week or so. And to me, probably the most damning evidence comes from this proof from Janelle. Janelle and Rachel are really close friends, and apparently Rachel has just been ignoring all of Janelle's calls and texts for days now, which definitely is not the norm. So with all of this evidence, I'd say most people's predictions right now is that it will be Rachel as the 17th mystery house guest. But who really knows what that means, right? Like, I don't know if she's gonna be in the game throughout the whole season permanently, or if she'll just be maybe murdered off in the first episode as part of a gimmick. Some people are predicting that the mass visitor is going to come and murder off Rachel, and that's going to kick off the season or whatever type of trope they're trying to do this year. Which I do like that. I do think a murder mystery-esque theme like that would be a lot of fun. But at the same time, I would also kind of want to see Rachel on the feeds. I haven't really gotten a chance to see her do all that because I didn't start watching the actual feeds until like BB20. So that would be a real treat for me. Of course, I want to know, who are you most excited to see on the cast this year? And if you have any winner predictions, drop them down below in the comments. Now, I didn't do great with this last year, but I'll go ahead and give my winner and loser predictions just for shits and giggles. Based on literally nothing but these little interviews, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Ashley or Jimmy as my winner picks. They both just seem emotionally stable and self-aware from the start. But again, I feel like there just really wasn't a lot to go on, so we'll see how they do. As far as the first boot goes, I'm gonna go ahead and be very predictable and choose most people's first boot pick, which is Adrian. He's just an easy pick because he's the obvious crash out on the cast so far. And even if he's not the first one out, I just can't see him having the stability to win, you know? And, you know, winners come in all different forms, but nowadays in modern Big Brother, a trait that they all seem to have in common is stability and emotional control. You want to be a Chelsea, not an Angela. Sorry. But it's not just Adrian, you know? If I'm being honest, I kind of don't see it for a lot of people this season. I don't see it for Lauren, sorry. I don't see it for Ava, sorry. I sort of see it for Zach, but again, he's like the obvious jock, so if that whole church boy strategy doesn't work for him, I'm sorry for you. So far this cast is pretty hard to read, but we're about to know way more information than needed about these people in a minute, so I'm not going to complain too much. I am just personally very excited for the premiere and of course for the live feeds to come on Sunday night. It really sucks that we are going to miss the first 4 days of gameplay and the first alliances being formed and all that stuff. There's just going to be a lot of catching up to do and a lot of puzzle pieces to try to form together, but hey, what can you do? Once again, please make sure to hit that subscribe button below if you have not already, just so you can stay tuned as we begin this amazing season. I just cannot wait, and I know y'all can't either. So, of course, I will be here after the premiere of BB27 to break it all down with you all. But until then, bye.